Heather, let's talk about magnesium.
All right, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Magnesium. Heather and I have just spent 1 month taking a deep dive into magnesium, its importance, its roles within the human body, and we are actually surprised at all the fun and interesting facts we found. Magnesium is certainly underappreciated and much more important than we thought. We're going to give you a few of the highlights of what we learned. For example, to start out, I was really surprised to realize that magnesium is really one of the chief regulators within the human body. It regulates by being essential for the activation of over 600 enzyme systems. That means hundreds of systems within the body are dependent on adequate magnesium to activate that process. One of the most interesting processes has to do with ATP production, energy production within each mitochondria of our cells. To produce 1 ATP of energy, we need 1 molecule of magnesium. It's essential for the activation of energy production in the body. Also, in regards to immunity, so important today, the immune system, you need magnesium for the successful manufacturing of lymphocytes, immunoglobulins, central again to immunity. What did you learn about magnesium as a regulator that you thought was kind of interesting?
Well, one of my favorite things I learned was that magnesium has a big role in muscle contraction and relaxation. So it actually blocks the action of calcium. So it makes the muscles relax, pumps the calcium out of the cell.
It's such an important thing, keeping calcium out of the cell, keeping magnesium in the cell.
That's right. It's a very intricate process, but essentially it regulates our smooth and our skeletal muscle and make sure it's working properly.
So like Heather, big exerciser, when she exercises and get cramps, you know that's partly due to a magnesium deficiency. Or when you find even AFib, right? That the heart gets into a cramp, the arteries get into a cramp. Tell us a little bit about what you found about AFib and low magnesium.
Right, so those with low magnesium actually have a 30 to 50% higher risk of having AFib.
Yeah, and how many people do we see that have AFib? Think about magnesium if the doctor says there's some heart irregularity. One of the other things I thought was fascinating is that heart failure, there's a 70% increased risk of heart failure in those with low magnesium. Amazing.
Staggering.
The next aspect, which was really interesting, is carbohydrate metabolism. Magnesium has a lot to do with regulating how we use glucose in the body. And some of the diseases really reflect that.
That's right. Again, those with the highest magnesium intake, we saw a 33% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes, heart disease greatly decreased if you keep that magnesium up there. And of course, me, Susan Brown, my life's work has been with the skeleton and bone health, and magnesium is one of those key nutrients often overlooked for bone health. 60% of the body's magnesium is stored in the bone, and there it does many things. It helps to form strong crystals. It stimulates the development of osteoblasts, those bone-building cells. It stimulates strength within the bone and the formation of healthy crystals. And it also activates vitamin D. So you can take a lot of vitamin D, but if you're real low in meg, you're not going to use it well. Very important to the skeletal system. So magnesium is essential for so many things. Hey, is deficiency common? Do we get enough magnesium?
It's actually very common. So we see over half of the population is not getting enough magnesium or they're deficient in magnesium.
Half of the population, right? So each of us, and you know, when we talk about this deficiency, I was really struck that researchers have said that the average individual needs 300 milligrams more than the RDA. Now the RDA for women is about 310 and for men about 410. And recently they've decreased that RDA. I think whenever we don't take enough, they just decrease the RDA. But nonetheless, you need 300 milligrams more than the RDA, so 300 milligrams more than 300 or 400, 700 milligrams. And really, in my work with bone health, we often go up to 1,000 milligrams of magnesium between food and supplements. Deficiency is important, very common. We should all do something about it.
Keep an eye out.
So how do you know if you have enough magnesium, Heather? What did you find in the research?
Well, there's a few different ways you can tell, and we are going to have a quiz on our website where you can check off different signs and symptoms that may indicate a magnesium deficiency.
Right. That's a really good way.
Yeah.
Also, I would say if you have any of these, if you have osteoporosis, if you have diabetes, if you're at risk for heart disease, it's very likely that you're low magnesium. So look into that. And there is a serum magnesium test. Now, if you go to your doctor will say, well, let's measure the blood magnesium. It's called serum magnesium. Magnesium is very tricky to measure because very little of it's in the blood. Most of it's stored in tissue reserves, and we can't judge that level. The body's always going to keep the blood level sort of stable. But what we now know is you have to be in the upper half of the serum range. Like the serum range that you'll see here in our illustration goes from 1.7 to 2.2. Milligrams per deciliter. You want to be in the higher half, so you want to be 1.5 to 2.2. That's extremely important. A new fact that was discovered by Dr. Rana Lin at NIH. Very important thing. You want to be very high on that serum magnesium. Another way you can test that I just remembered,
Last but not least.
and last but not least, is your urine pH. And we've developed this whole kit, the Alkaline Diet Starter Kit, which has the book I wrote on pH and your pH paper, everything you need to measure your first morning urine. The first morning urine, if that is not 6.5 to 7.5, that's a very good indicator that you don't have enough magnesium, because magnesium is one of those minerals that really controls the acid load in the body. We hope you enjoy this. We are very happy that we took that time to study magnesium. You study magnesium a bit, and my suggestion is stay stronger longer.